In this video, I'm going to talk through the FinCEN Beneficial Ownership Report requirement that's expected to impact millions of business owners in this year, 2024. So let's begin the discussion by defining who is FinCEN. Well, they essentially are a federal bureau whose responsibility is to police the financial system. So this report was created a few years ago coming out of the Corporate Transparency Act in order to try to mitigate and detect criminal financial activities, particularly money laundering activities. So by FinCEN's estimate, over 32 million businesses, particularly the small to mid-sized ones, will have to meet these new disclosure requirements. So now we can talk through who actually has to complete the report. Who reports? Well, it's going to be your corporations, your limited liability companies, and entities registered with the Secretary of State office. So if you're a corporation, LLC, or you're an entity registered with the Secretary of State, you have to complete this report requirement. And now we can talk through who's exempt from the report. So it's generally your sole proprietors that are not registered with the Secretary of State. It also can be large operating companies that have over 20 full-time employees and over $5 million of revenue. It could also be tax-exempt organizations. There's actually a list of over 20 types of businesses that would be exempt from this report requirement. So now let's talk through what is actually the report. What's the report? Well, the report is going to ask for information about the beneficial owners of the company. And a beneficial owner is an individual or individuals that own greater than 25% of the company or exert substantial control. And you'll notice how it's or, not and, because an individual can be considered a beneficial owner if they exert substantial control, but not necessarily own 25% of the company. So an example of this would be like a chief operating officer within your organization. They might not be an owner of the company, but they still have a major influence on the operations of the business. And by that line of thinking, they would qualify as a beneficial owner, and they would be required to complete this report, or at least have their information be put on this report. And the questions that are going to be asked in the report relate to the information of both the business and the individual or individuals themselves. So business and personal info. For the business, it's going to ask about the business's legal name with their DBA name, the state of formation for the business, the address, the tax identification number for the business. And for personal, it's pretty similar. The person's full legal name, date of birth, address, unique identifier number, so such as like a driver's license or other type of identifier number. So that's a little bit about what the report is. And now let's talk through some of the deadlines of the report. So existing businesses actually have up until January 1st of 2025 to complete this report. So when I'm talking about existing businesses, these are those entities that were formed prior to this year, 2024. So if you're in business prior to January 1st of 2024, you're considered an existing business, and you have this whole year to complete this report requirement. Your deadline is January 1st of 2025. New businesses, on the other hand, that form at any time period after January 1st of 2024, any formation during 2024, you have 90 days to complete this report. A more notable deadline here is if there's any changes to the report, they require a new one to be filed within 30 days. So a common example of this would be a driver's license expires and you get a new one. You have to essentially complete that change and submit a new report within 30 days. So a lot more strict requirement for changes and a lot more quick timeline. And why is it imperative that you meet these deadlines? Well, there is some pretty steep penalties for non-compliance. Notably, you could start off with penalties of $500 a day for the business or the person, beneficial owner themselves, with no cap. So $500 a day for not meeting these deadlines is a starting point, and penalties could also go up as high as criminal charges and potential imprisonment. So as you can see, the penalties can be pretty steep and scary if you don't meet the deadlines of completing this report on time. So it's imperative to be cognizant of these deadlines and make sure you have all the information and complete the report respective to whether you're an existing business or a new business, or if you make any changes. Now we'll kind of wrap up with talking about where do you file the report. Well, this can be filed online through the FinCEN Beneficial Ownership Information website. So they have a good website, and if you click the top right of this video, you'll see an article I wrote that talks a lot more in detail about this report requirement, and also has the URL to how to access this website. But there's also a frequently asked questions page on the website, so it's pretty intuitive to complete the report online, and that's how you'd want to complete it. So hopefully this was helpful, and you have a great day.